Picture this. No phone, no map, no idea what's over that next ridge, and definitely no idea there's an ocean on the other side of it. Just you, a handful of family members, and a horizon that goes on forever. Now picture doing that for generations. Not a road trip, a relay race across 10,000 years, where nobody alive at the start ever saw the finish line. Today we open Google Maps and get mildly annoyed when it reroutes us 2 minutes slower. Our ancestors didn't have roads, didn't have compasses, didn't, in most cases, have boats that could survive open ocean. And yet they ended up on literally every livable continent on Earth. So here's the real question. How does a species with no wheels, no writing, and no idea the rest of the world even exists, manage to walk, raft, and paddle its way to every corner of the planet? Turns out the answer isn't luck. It's biology, desperation, and one seriously underrated skill: reading the sky. Let's start with the deepest layer of evidence we've got. Long before modern humans existed, an earlier human relative called Homo erectus was already leaving Africa. Fossils and stone tools found at Dmanisi, in the country of Georgia, date back roughly 1.8 million years, making it one of the oldest confirmed hominin sites outside Africa. In plain English, our ancestors' were international travelers before modern humans even existed as a species. Then, roughly 60,000 to 70,000 years ago, our own species, Homo sapiens, made a bigger move, a sustained dispersal out of Africa that genetic studies trace in the DNA of people living today. Every non-African population on Earth carries the genetic fingerprint of that walk. But here's the thing nobody tells you. This wasn't one heroic journey by one brave group. It was thousands of small, unglamorous decisions: walk toward water, walk toward game, walk away from a drought, repeated across dozens of generations until away became half the planet. Here's where it gets interesting. Humans are, biomechanically speaking, built like walking machines. Our long legs, our arched feet, our unique ability to sweat efficiently over the whole body. All of it evolved for one purpose: covering long distances without overheating. Most animals sprint. Humans endure. Persistence hunting, where early humans literally walked and jogged prey animals into exhaustion over hours, only works because the human body is a long-range machine, not a short-range one. And that restlessness didn't disappear. That itch you feel scrolling through vacation photos, the pull to see what's over the next hill. Some researchers link that novelty-seeking drive to the same dopamine circuitry that once rewarded our ancestors for exploring new territory instead of starving in a used-up one. You're not bad with routine. You're running ancient software. Now here's where the story stops being about walking and starts being about water, because at some point, some ancient human or human relative looked at open ocean and decided to cross it on purpose. On the island of Flores, in Indonesia, archaeologists found evidence of an early hominin population, the small-bodied humans later nicknamed hobbits, Homo floresiensis, that had to have arrived by crossing a stretch of open sea, since Flores was never connected to the mainland by a land bridge, even at the lowest sea levels of the ice ages. That crossing likely happened over 700,000 years ago. Let that sink in. Long before modern humans existed, something was already building rafts, or being carried by extraordinary chance across open water, and either way it means deliberate or repeated sea crossings go back far deeper than we used to assume. Here's the question that should be sitting in the back of your mind. If a hominin with a brain the size of a chimpanzee's could cross open ocean, what was stopping modern humans? Nothing, apparently. So why don't we have a museum full of ancient boats to prove all this? Simple. Wood rots. Reeds rot. Animal hide rafts rot. Almost everything early humans built their watercraft from was organic material, and organic material rarely survives tens of thousands of years, especially underwater or in humid coastal soil. We're not missing the boats because they didn't exist. We're missing them because nature is an efficient recycler. That means what we do find, a scatter of stone tools on an island that could only be reached by water, isn't a weak clue. It's often the only clue we're ever going to get. Archaeologists aren't looking for the ship. They're looking for the footprint the ship left behind. For decades, some historians dismissed the idea that Pacific Islanders deliberately navigated thousands of miles of open ocean. The theory, pushed hardest by writer Andrew Sharp in the mid-20th century, claimed most Pacific settlement happened by accidental drift, canoes blown off course, stumbling onto islands by luck. Then, in 1976, A double-hulled canoe called the Hkli set sail from Hawaii to Tahiti, over 2,500 miles of open Pacific, guided entirely by a traditional navigator, Maupielug, using stars, swells, wind, and bird flight patterns, with zero modern instruments. They made it, on purpose, right on target. Turns out primitive was never the right word. The people who settled the most remote islands on Earth weren't drifting. They were reading an ocean the rest of us had forgotten how to see. Here's the thing about long-distance travel, it wasn't a one-region miracle. It kept happening independently all over the world. While Polynesian navigators were island-hopping across the Pacific using stars and wave patterns, a separate population was walking, and possibly boating, across Beringia, the land bridge connecting Siberia to Alaska, sometime around 15,000 to 20,000 years ago, eventually populating 2 entire continents. Meanwhile, centuries later, Norse seafarers pushed even farther, establishing a settlement at Lance Aux Meadows in Newfoundland. Hard archaeological proof that Europeans reached North America roughly 500 years before Columbus. Different oceans, different tools, different centuries, same species doing the same thing, refusing to accept the horizon as a wall. So why go through all that risk? Because staying still was often the more dangerous option. Climate shifts dried up hunting grounds. Populations grew past what a local landscape could feed. Herds of migratory animals moved, and following them meant following your entire food supply. Even small conflicts over territory could make somewhere else look a lot safer than here. Travel wasn't adventure tourism. It was risk management. A raft crossing open water was terrifying, sure, but so was watching your children go hungry because the herds didn't come back this year. Every ancient migration was, underneath the courage, a cost-benefit calculation. And more often than not, the math said go. Here's the uncomfortable part. That same instinct to explore, to cross oceans, to chase the horizon, the one that spread our species across the entire planet, eventually got weaponized. The age of exploration took the same navigational knowledge that guided the Hkli, the same courage that carried people across Beringia, and pointed it at conquest instead of survival. Ships crossed oceans not to find new hunting grounds, but to claim land already lived on by others, launching centuries of colonization and the transatlantic slave trade. The tool didn't change. Boats still crossed water. Stars still guided sailors. What changed was the intention. From "we need to survive" to "we intend to own." The same human drive that once meant salvation for a struggling band of foragers became, in different hands, a justification for empire. So here's what we actually know. Human relatives were leaving Africa on foot close to 2 million years ago. Somewhere in that story, someone crossed open ocean on purpose without ever having seen the other side. And thousands of years later, without GPS, without metal tools, without writing anything down, human beings navigated the largest ocean on Earth by memorizing the sky. Here's the reframe. We don't explore because we're brave. We explore because staying still for a species built like us was never really an option. Think about it: Manasai, Flores, the Hkli, Beringia, Lance Aux Meadows. Different centuries, different oceans, same restless species refusing to accept a horizon as a border. And that pull you feel, the one that makes you want to see the next city, the next country, the next unfamiliar street, that's not modern wanderlust. That's ancient software, still running in a body built to walk further than it should, and cross water it was never guaranteed to survive. The map was never finished.